This morning's reading is from the second chapter of the book of Acts. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers. Awe came upon everyone because many wonders and signs were being done by the apostles. All who believed were together and had all things in common. They would sell their possessions and goods and distribute the proceeds to all as any had need. Day by day, as they spent much time together in the temple, they broke bread at home and ate their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having the goodwill of all the people. And day by day, the Lord added to their number those who were being saved.
She was old now, grieving the life of her beloved, the one with whom she had shared 60 years. She spoke more at me than with me, and I simply listened. And in the very act of listening, I gave her communion. We've all had those opportunities and the privilege of listening to our elders, of sitting beside someone who simply needed compassion and understanding. And so Jesus' words prove real. I am the bread of life. Go now and do for others what I have done for you. And that's why we hear in the book of Acts that his early followers gathered in their homes and carried on the tradition that he started of breaking bread together in his name. Another one of these stories from my 50 years of ministry is he was discouraged. Years of drinking left him separated from his wife and 2 children. He asked if I would go to AA meetings with him, just until he had the courage to go on his own. As he listened to the stories of confession, weeks turned into months, and he began to touch hope. I gave him communion. So did his brothers and sisters in the AA program. Bread of life, take and eat. This is my cup, given to you for the forgiveness of sins. As Jesus broke bread, gave himself to us, we are asked to give ourselves to others. It is not just the bread, the wheat, the grapes, the wine that nourish, but it's the presence. It's being consumed by God and consuming Jesus that we then go out and bring the presence of bread to others. She was young, just a teen, at odds with her parents, again, sobbing from the repeated argument. And after hours in her room alone, she was feeling abandoned. So she wondered, and I found this on a beautiful card a couple of weeks ago as I was getting a card for this young teenager, actually. And so as she sat in her room feeling abandoned, quote, she wondered if this were the time to risk telling her parents that she loved them more than she had planned on. She was about to give them communion, bread of life, cup of blessing, being broken, being blessed, and given. This is a true story. It doesn't come from me. I actually read it in one of the sermon preparations, but it is so poignant that I want to share it with you. She was just coming out of ICU. The operation took half of her chin and left her paralyzed on one side of her mouth. She feared he would no longer find her attractive. But her husband bent low and twisted his mouth to match hers and said, "The kiss still works." He gave her communion. Is it becoming clear, my friends, that, like Jesus, we too must be bread for one another, not just the substance, but we must be the bread for one another. He was unkempt, dirty, sitting outside of Macy's in Boston, begging for small change. I noticed a teen offered him $1 and then a smile. She gave him communion, I thought. I am the bread of life. Take and eat. This is a true story. I happened to be the pastor at the funeral. His son was only 18 years old. He died of an overdose of heroin. The father spoke at the funeral. He informed his son's friends that he would use his son's trust fund to pay for any of them to go into treatment. 2 of his son's friends came forth immediately. This father gave his dead son's friends communion. His father was a man of faith, and when he needed it most, his faith pushed him to touch pieces of life deep within him that were ongoing and indestructible. He was broken, he was blessed, and he was given. Did his faith take his pain away and suffering away? No. We already know that. But it did make the unfathomable and the horrible bearable, and it brought meaning into the lives that he was able to save. My friends, the more I come to know Jesus, not just know about him, but actually know him, enter relationship with him, and feast on the bread of life, the bread from heaven, the more I am persuaded that religion is not just about coming to church on Sunday, and that is a huge help. And it's not collecting a set of beliefs, although it gives us words and containers to pour meaning into. No, it's more about encountering the divine mystery. It's pulling out of our everyday experiences, places where we can name God with us. We know what the book of Acts is trying to tell us, as the earliest followers of Jesus gathered in their homes to break bread, to bless one another, and to carry on the work of Jesus the Christ. We know that we have a spiritual hunger as we enter this sacred and historic place every Sunday. We know what Jesus hopes for us. I think he hopes to make us conscious of a presence that is greater than ourselves. And once again, Jesus points us to a God who seeks our wholeness, and we are called to point to this God for one another. And so for a moment, as we sit here and offer spiritual food for one another, some of us are here even in the midst of our busyness, some of us in the midst of our anxiety, some of us in the midst of perhaps life not turning out exactly the way we had planned it. But we are invited to trust that God calls us by name and offers us personally a morsel of bread that will fill us. And so if we indeed follow Jesus, leave this place, and open our eyes to those we meet, we don't have to go looking. We don't have to plan something, just being present. We will find those people hungry. We will find where justice needs to be rendered. We will find opportunities to forgive. And we will recommit ourselves to keep the Sabbath holy. But we too, like Jesus, will encounter an unrelenting and an unending love that pushes us on, that has us gathering in small groups, breaking bread, and nourishing one another. It won't take all of our suffering away, but it will be bread for the journey, and we will have companions along the way. As I grow more seasoned in life, and particularly in the spiritual life, I am convinced that as we pay attention to our ordinary human experiences, God shows up. God shows up. I am convinced that Jesus is the bread of life and the cup of blessing. And he commissioned his first disciples, and he commissions us to go and be bread for the world. We are about to break bread together, as the early disciples did. We'll celebrate a meal that is full of spiritual nourishment. We will consume Jesus. And then, as Teresa of Avila taught us, we now are the eyes, the hands, the feet, the heart of Jesus in the world. Come, for all things are ready.